right. Welcome to our March webinar. Thanks everyone for joining. Topic today is AI and ambition. Our team, our product and engineering team has spent especially the last year, really focusing on how our teams can leverage AI to help make them smarter, and more empowered sales coaches. So we're going to dive into some of the functionality that's really rolled out over the last 6 to 12 months. So thanks for joining. Go to the next slide. So we're gonna do a little welcome, a little bit of housekeeping, and then Chris here is gonna walk us through some of the latest and greatest AI and ambition innovations. And then we've got a little bit on some of our latest product releases. And then as always, we'll open up the floor for Q&A. As we go through today's topics, feel free to drop questions or commentary in the chat, in the Q&A. I'll be keeping an eye on that. And it can be anything related to the AI features that you're seeing. And then once we get to the end, to the Q&A portion, the last 15 minutes or so, it can be anything ambition related, and we'll dive into anything that we have time to. And if we don't, we will be sure to follow up with you to get some time to chat about anything you have questions on. All right, and a quick intro. My name is Emma Hamilton from the chat. Like I said, I'm from Nashville, and I manage our customer success team. So have the pleasure of working alongside our team, our CSMs that you guys get to work with, and then also our customers.
Yeah, and I'm Chris O'Connor, Director of Account Management here at Ambition. Been here for about 5 years and help oversee, the team that works with our awesome customers every day and focuses on growth and just make sure you're successful getting the value that ultimately you bought for. So yeah, excited to talk about, the exciting stuff that we're rolling out. As Emma mentioned, we both have been at Ambition for a long time, and some of the stuff that we've released recently are some of the most exciting things that we've seen. So yeah, excited to jump in today.
And just as a reminder, I think you can click maybe again, Chris, a couple times. The might have some hand built in. But just a reminder, these training webinars are happening every month on Tuesdays. I think if you click the actual slide, just animations for the text. There you go. There you go. Anyone's open to join. As you guys have already registered to attend this month's session, you'll automatically be enrolled for future sessions. So keep an eye out in your email. Reminder emails will be sent out, calendar invites for future sessions. We'd love to see you at the next one and the next one. But feel free to invite any of your colleagues or peers that you think might benefit from joining and learning a little bit about Ambition each month. Get the next slide. And then just next month, it's going to be, I missed the date on that. It will be on April 8th, I believe, is the second Tuesday of April. I'll update this before we send it out at 3 p.m. Central. And we're actually going to have members of our support team joining us to talk about data troubleshooting and some data related topics in Ambition. So it'll be pretty fun. All right, Chris, I think you can take it away to start talking about some of the latest and greatest AI meets Ambition.
Cool. Yeah. So, I'm sure everyone here is aware, AI is truly the story of any tech company. And it probably, if you're on LinkedIn and things like that, it's just overflowing with comments and stories about AI. But, I really think that Ambition is positioned really well to be a leader with leveraging AI, just due to the fact that we've got so much of your performance related data and are already helping to tell that story for, performance management for your teams. And then adding in kind of the qualitative component too, if you and your teams are using our coaching features, there's also some really rich data there that we can, leverage AI to drive some really great insights for you and the team. And I know that for this webinar group, it's probably a mix of sales leaders, individuals that are carrying their own sales bag, sales ops, sales enablement. And so I think there's a lot that we're going to showcase today that is really benefit for all of those, different parties involved. So again, Emma mentioned it, but like feel free to stop us throughout the demo, throw questions in the chat. We'll pivot along the way. We've got time to do that. And if there's anything that we need to follow up on afterwards, we definitely can do that. But what we're gonna like primarily focus on today is within Ambition's kind of AI story. There's two main products that have been really released from our recent efforts. And the first is our AI coaching pre-read. So we're going to go into a demo site here in a minute and see this live. But the basic premise is we know that your sales leaders, particularly the frontline manager, is really busy and is day to day pulled in a lot of different directions. And so our hope here is to be able to bubble up for that frontline leader before they walk into a one-on-one with their team. Like, give me the latest breakdown of their performance and any coaching, conversation history that we've had in the past, so that I am well equipped to have a really good performance management conversation with them when I walk into this one-on-one. I think I would say most everyone on this webinar has probably been in some kind of sales function at some part in their past. And I think we've all had managers who say that they're coaching, but their coaching is really just a check-in. If I'm meeting with Emma, it's like, hey, Emma, how are you doing this week? You feeling good? Is there anything that I could do to help you? If not, like, cool, I'll see you next week. And Ambition really wants to help folks get away from that kind of like drive-by coaching. And so with the pre-read, again, it enables them to walk in knowing, okay, here are like the strengths of this individual, maybe some areas they need improvement on, maybe some recurring themes or conversations that we've had in the past that I can like really lean into on this conversation. So that's kind of the premise here, is to make sure that your managers are really prepped to have great coaching conversations. And we're leveraging AI to be able to do some of that for them. So again, we'll see this live here in just a minute. But the second product that has really come out of our AI innovation is pipeline management. So traditionally, Ambition does a really good job of showing you what your metrics are, but for metrics like a open pipeline number, that's a metrics that's often, getting adjusted on a weekly, monthly basis. There's things that get added to pipeline, fall out of pipeline. And so we want to do a better job of showing you insights into all of the changes that are happening into your pipeline. And some of you may facilitate this now through your CRM, but I'll show you kind of how we've taken our own take on pipeline management and really added to it and enhanced that view within Ambition. So I'll stop before I hop into the demo. Let's see here. Any questions, Emma, that we need to jump into before we do the demo?
Let's see it in action.
Awesome. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, this is our demo site that we're looking at. Now I'll go ahead and preface and say that, you may use Ambition in a number of different ways. We have customers that lean a little bit more heavily into our gamification, performance visibility features, and then we have other customers who lean a little bit more heavy in our coaching features. And so what you're seeing in our demo site is everything. So if you see, certain links that you're not used to seeing, we'd be happy to like talk with you after about the package that you're in and what you have access to and things like that. But the profile that we're going to start from is a frontline manager who leads a number of salespeople. So this is Carson Suarez, and he has 15 individuals that roll up to him. And you may be familiar with some of this functionality already, and I'll quickly get to the AI stuff, but I wanted to give you a quick walkthrough of typical workflow of a frontline manager, how they might use these tools. So here's the home page. We're going to bubble up for the frontline manager some of the most important things that we think they should be seeing. We've got coaching sessions on the left, and then some of the key metrics that are going to be highlighted for them on the right side of the page. And then if you've used Ambition for a number of years or so, you're really familiar with our scorecard functionality. So the premise here is we're going to look at your daily activities, that hopefully your inputs that eventually lead to the outputs or the quota type metrics for you. And so each role can have a different scorecard, and then we weight those appropriately. So we know every metric is not created equal. And so those are the activities which lead to the objectives. And if I'm Carson, I can easily drill in and see, okay, for the open pipeline number for this month, these are all of my reps and their contributions to this pipeline number. So it's a true roll up of the team's performance. And it's easy to help you kind of spot outliers or areas where you might need to coach because of this. So Caleb is kind of an example that stands out to me of somebody maybe falling behind on this number. And then the great thing, what we can do is use both of those scorecards, put those together on our productivity quadrant, and help you visualize those inputs, those outputs. Sometimes I like to refer to it as the skill versus will quadrant here, to help you understand where you might need to be leaning in to coaching for certain individuals. So you can kind of see where they fall on that productivity quadrant. Now, this is a view that is only showing up on a manager profile. So if you are an individual contributor, this won't show, but I'm sure your manager would likely be willing to kind of show you where you fall on the productivity quadrant. But once we've got a good visualization here of performance, now we're going to get into coaching, which is where we're going to talk about the AI pre-read. So if I'm the manager, this is going to be my coaching timeline, and any coaching check-ins that are open are going to be bubbled up to the top. But this would be a full timeline of coaching history for my direct reports. And coaching is a very broad term, right? So there's a lot of forms of coaching. There's one-on-one coaching. There may be, deal coaching or forecasting. There may be call coaching that's happening. All of those different coaching engagements can live here within Ambition. So this is not a coaching demo, so I won't go too deep in that, but if you have additional questions on the coaching features, certainly let us know. But when I drill into a one-on-one, this is where, if I'm prepping as a manager for the one-on-one, this agenda is sent out to your rep beforehand, and you can kind of review their responses to the feedback. We've got integrations with things like Gong, which will allow you to pull in recorded calls for call coaching. One really powerful thing for Ambition is to be able to pull in metric-based questions. So when the agenda is generated, it's going to populate the value of this metric that you might be interested in talking with them about. A lot of different question types that you have, but you also get a sense of any action items that might be coming out of past check-ins. You can kind of get a sense of those on the right-hand side. But then let's toggle right to the prep tab. So this is kind of the reason that we're here. If I'm a super busy manager, this is exactly where I'm going to go click to get informed before I walk into this one-on-one. So we hear from a lot of customers like prior to this. Yes, they've got some stuff in Ambition, but they may have had to go to other tools, Salesforce or other things to kind of build out the full picture of the performance for their individual. And our hope here is to get everything within Ambition so that the pre-read is super valuable. So the first thing that you're going to see is a breakdown of the different quantitative elements within Ambition. So it's going to give you a scorecard, breakdown areas where they've been, performing well, and then areas of concern. So it'll break those out, give you specifics on how they're performing towards targets. If you've built out goals in Ambition, which if you haven't, I would suggest that you do that. It's a really great feature within Ambition. it's going to analyze those goals as well. And then I referenced earlier that we talked about the quantitative component, but a qualitative component here is reading into past coaching check-ins and the responses directly from the rep and manager. So effectively that conversational coaching history, and it is going to bubble up certain insights, that the AI is reading from that. And I will say, like, it's after having tested this within Ambition quite a bit, and also with customers, it's really cool to see some of the insights that are bubbled up within that. An example, just a real life example at Ambition is one of our AEs, had a deal that he was really excited about, and he mentioned it in his coaching check-in, but then the VP noticed it came up like 3 or 4 weeks later on this coaching check-in, on the pre-read, and he hadn't heard anything about it in a while. So he was able to remind that rep, hey, what's the latest with this individual deal? And that was one we were able to like pull in and get closed won. And so it really helps to make sure things do not fall through the cracks. Managers, again, are super busy, and it's easy to forget what we talked about last week in our coaching session. And then the last portion here, there's a section on recommended follow-up questions, which I think is really cool because the AI is going to read all the stuff, all the details above, and see what questions it make sense to ask in this one-on-one check-in. I think this is particularly valuable also for maybe a new manager, somebody who hasn't been managing people for a while. This could kind of really give them some good coaching tips on what to ask in the one-on-one. So I know that's a lot. Certainly let us know if you have questions on there. But again, this is the AI coaching pre-read. It's been really valuable for a number of customers who have begun using it. Please let us know if you'd like to test it out. We could follow up with you after on some more details here. But yeah, that's there's more innovation coming behind this, so I won't tease some of that yet. But right now, this is been a really valuable thing that lives within the coaching suite. So I'll kind of pause.
Chris, we got a question from the chat. Can you print the pre-read info?
It's a good question. Right now, I think the answer to that is no. I think in future iterations of this, an export is going to be something that we want to be able to offer. And I'll go ahead and say, another kind of ask from customers is that, this would be kind of from the manager, to direct report, kind of like an individual thing. But if you've got a director, they may be interested in seeing, well, like, let me get a summary of the entire team, so that when I kick off my monthly meeting or my quarterly meeting, I've got a really cool like summary of team's performance over the past 90 days. So that's been another request that we've heard from a number of people. That is something that I feel like we're going to incorporate in the next wave of development with this. All right. So from here, if no other questions on that, we can transition over to kind of the second product that we referenced at the beginning, our pipeline management. And so I'm going to adjust my profile here, give myself a little bit more permissions. All right. So again, I teed up pipeline as giving us the ability to track changes, give more insights into all the adjustments that can happen within your sales pipeline. And we're going to allow you to create a lot of different views. So I know that you probably have many different CRM reports that slice and dice your data in 1,000 different ways. And we want to be able to do that for you here too. So, individual teams can have their own pipeline view. If you're sales ops and want a like greater view of things, you can do that as well. But I'll just look at, for right now, all opportunities in the last 30 days. And so here we are. So the premise again is to highlight and call out anything that's notable from a change management perspective. So I can go ahead and look at my filtering here. So we're going to be looking at things right now based on the close date in this quarter and then changes in the last 30 days. But we're going to offer you a lot of different filtering capabilities to slice and dice the data how you want it. And I should note that like we're going to be pulling your opportunity data from your CRM, and so the things that we're seeing here are demo site data, but these stage names and these different categories and things like that would be your nomenclature. But the first thing I want to do is when I land here is hit this insights button. And initially what that's going to do for me is, you can see here, it's going to be generating a AI summary of these changes of the last 30 days. But the great thing here too that we're going to start with is just a really easy summary of those main changes. So you can easily just click on these live links and go to, if I only want to see the 10 ops that got removed, I can click on those and it's going to list those out for me. But then, many sales leaders, I think we kind of are going to demo some of the key use cases here, but there's a many number of things that you might care about as it relates to pipeline changes. Stage changes is one thing that's across the board really important to sales leaders. We want to know what closed won, what closed lost, what qualified, and what may be in kind of like an early funnel stage. And so it's going to break down those for you and let you, just click on those and go directly to, okay, here are the 4 things that are in demo right now. And then there'll be a review also of dates. So one of the other most common use cases is, hey, we were forecasting this deal and then all of a sudden the date changed out a quarter. We want to be able to show you that really quickly. And in this case here, this is demo data, but there were 27 opportunities that got pulled forward, which, if you're a sales leader looking at this, you're pretty amped about that. That's awesome. And then there's 10 opportunities that pushed out. And in our nomenclature, push means the date changed out, but it didn't leave the quarter. Whereas slipped would be the date changed and it pushed out past your quarter. And so that's kind of what the nomenclature here means on those date transitions, but easy allows you to zoom into those and see what's going on. Let's actually look at one real quick. I'll show you. Once you drill into the data, you can click on those links and kind of get deeper into what those actual changes were. So it's not just the list view. It allows you to kind of dig deeper into what the changes actually were. And then, ACV is another really common use case that sales leaders want to see, is like how much money we added, how much money we lost. So we're going to give you a breakdown of the value flow, what was added, what was modified, removed, lost, things like that, and how much ACV or value was involved in that. And then finally, of what's open, so taking out the things that got removed from pipeline, where does each of those fall within our own stages of opportunities? And so it gives you a breakdown of open pipeline as well. So again, it's really easy to adjust these things. If you have a different field that you want to see summary insights on, we would just adjust that at this level. So it certainly will be and can be tailor-made to your use case. And then finally, there's a lot we can do with it from here. So a common use case is I'm a leader. I noticed something interesting and I want to share this and maybe get some feedback. So I've got the ability to share within the app. We have the ability to export CSV or Excel of this data. And then certainly if you adjusted things and want to save a new view, we can do that here. So there's a lot of capabilities with filtering and slicing and dicing the data. I'll show you another, kind of way you can break it down here and just kind of zoom out and look at, by rep, you know, different view here. So a lot that we can do with slice and dicing the data. And please throw your questions in the chat. But one of the things that I'm going to kind of transition into now is a bit of some of the FAQs that we've gotten from customers that they've been testing this, or just us demoing for them. A common question that we hear is well, this is awesome. This is really cool, but there are some capabilities similar to this in Salesforce or my CRM. How is this different? How's Ambition's take on this different than Salesforce, for example? And it's true. There is some functionality in Salesforce that is, I would say, somewhat similar to this. But I think there's quite a few. We've done a lot of research on this. Obviously, there's quite a few limitations with the number of fields that you're able to pull into this view. There's some limitations on custom objects that you can get in here, and so. Ambition's going to allow you a lot more flexibility with what we get into this view and what we're able to analyze. I think there's a cap on 5 different metrics that you can review, with the Salesforce reporting, and not the case here with Ambition. So that's certainly one thing that's important to notate. I think the other thing that is important also is we call this pipeline management, and most of our customers' pipeline and data that they want to visualize here lives on the opportunity record within their CRM. But Ambition is more flexible than that. We can pull in, account level stuff, contact level changes. So if you have stage changes that are happening at a, contact level, somebody moved from a prospect to a friendly or a warmer lead, we're going to be able to analyze those things as well. And so I think that certainly is a value add also. And then the last thing I would say that's really unique to kind of our take on this is we are, a coaching product. And so what we want to do is to be able to get some of this information that's really valuable to you in a coaching check-in. And so that's really the next iteration for us is to make sure, hey, if the thing that you're looking at here is, the deals that have stalled out or aged for more than 90 days in a certain, stage, let's get that in a coaching check-in so that you can ask your reps about it on a weekly basis and make sure that pipeline hygiene is better, we're moving deals forward, and ultimately we're just more successful as a sales org. And so I think that's another really important Ambition take on this is getting this information within our coaching sessions so that some of the issues or things get addressed. So that's really important. And then if you've used Ambition for a while, you know about our workflows, you know that we've got a really powerful engine for notifying you of notable things that are happening in Ambition, celebrating things. And so we're going to be able to create workflows based on some of these things that are happening in the pipeline changes. So that's a lot. I know I've been talking a lot, but we're really excited about these innovations with Ambition. We think that it really helps us take the product and the value that you get from it to the next level. We're excited about it. We'd love to talk to you more about it. If you have questions, if you'd like to try it out, we'd love for you to try it out. I think I'll stop there unless we have any questions, and we can move kind of to the Q&A portion.
Yes, please drop your questions in the chat or the Q&A. All right, we got our first one in. Chris, I'm building these but having trouble with the filters. Is there anything different from filters in metrics?
It's a good question. There shouldn't be, and Emma, feel free to jump in if you have a take on this. But yeah, there shouldn't be anything different. Now, Alicia, um, if you can't find a certain filter, what it may be is that we need to just pull that in from the CRM and just make sure that that filter is coming through. Um, because certainly, like when we brought in metrics, the first time around, we may not have brought some of the opportunity level data. Um, but yeah, Alicia, that if it's just not filtering correctly, then that's something that we can look into. It shouldn't be, definitely shouldn't be behaving that way.
Alicia, after this, I can start a thread with us and your CSM and a solutions architect and get that resolved quickly. Thanks for letting us know.
Did I miss any other questions?
Nothing in the chat yet. Anyone have anything? Don't be shy. We're really excited about this. I think it makes coaching easier for managers and makes them more powerful coaches, more well-informed coaches.
Another thing that I think is a FAQ, something that comes up quite a bit when we talk to folks is, there's a lot of, SDR, BDR related roles that are using Ambition. And when they hear pipeline, a lot of times they just think like, oh, is this more geared towards an AE role? It doesn't seem applicable to me. And while, yes, like AE teams, closers, this stuff is really important for them. Kind of understanding better on the front end of the pipeline what's getting added and what is making it through pipeline or not making it through pipeline. And those changes early on in the funnel are really important. More and more BDR, SDR teams are getting, quoted and comped on, quality pipeline and less about just meetings booked. I know that that's the case here at Ambition. And so like getting a clearer picture of top of funnel, what's close winning, what's close losing, what's close winning, is really important for some of those like demand gen teams. So that's another question we get quite a bit.
Another question coming through, outside of opportunity management, do you have companies using it for lead management?
Yeah, I would say, Alicia, the most common use case, I would say primarily opportunity management, certainly, but from a lead management standpoint, I think a lot of demand gen teams are going a little bit more like account based at their approach to pipe gen. And so a couple of the customers that we've seen, yeah, they have their leads or they have their leads from the CRM, and they're looking at what's a like named account and what's not, what might be like an inbound, and being able to look at how many of their named accounts they were able to transition from lead to prospect or demo, whatever that next stage is for them. And so we do have some folks that are, before it gets to pipeline, they want to look at, what's getting adjusted from, maybe it's like a cold lead to a warm lead, things like that. I think another use case that we hear about is a lot of marketing teams will look at, just a small subset of webinar attendees or, folks that they got from a on-site conference or something like that, and how we're able to transition those particular lead lists to opportunity. That's another use case that we've seen as well. And I think for those, like the most important thing is if you've got a field in Salesforce that shows you, I think it's status change. Those are the things that we'd be looking at to be able to tell you what changed.
Thanks for the questions.
Cool. Well, does everybody want free reads and pipeline at this point? Alicia, I know you already have them, so you're an early adopter. Uh, so thank you for that.
Be like Alicia and her team. Yes, I put details in the chat, but if you guys are interested in test driving this at all, we would love to talk about next steps, getting this turned on, getting some training for you. You can let me know here in the chat, and I will make a note to reach out to you afterwards, or you can just shoot me an email. I drop my email in the chat. Reach out to your CSM. We are here to help get this turned on for you. We're all very excited about this, so happy to answer any questions if we can help. Feel free to drop in the chat any other topics or questions you want to dive into today. We've got 20 minutes still left on the calendar. Oh, perfect. So this is open time for you to ask us any questions. We are happy and ready to jump into any part of the tool and give you a mini training or an explanation or answer any questions you might have. So feel free to drop that in the chat or the Q&A. I did want to briefly go over a new product release that has come out since our last webinar. Just one that I think is important to note. We actually have a really big set of releases coming mid-March. So for the next session, you guys will have a lot of new releases to go over, but just wanted to give a shout out to this new exciting one real quick. And it is the ability to duplicate workflows. So hoping to make the workflow creation process easy for people, quick, and it just lives over in workflows. And we have all of our list of lovely workflows here. And maybe you have this workflow created and you really love the parameters, but it's only for Emma's team. And Chris comes in and says, I love this workflow. It's working really well for Emma's team. I want that for my team, but I don't want to have to do all the work of recreating it. We now offer the ability to duplicate. And so just by clicking this here, it will create a copy, and Chris could go in and just adjust that copy to be exactly the same, except from my team to his team. So just a quick edit will then take place of all the work of building that workflow. I've even seen people kind of create like a core set of workflows and then letting their frontline managers decide what's going to be applicable for their team so they can go in and duplicate and tweak the ones that are perfect for their team. But just a new improvement to make workflow creation easier and quicker. So just clicking the three little dots, people call them a kebab or a snowman or a hamburger. Click them there and duplicate, and that'll make your life easier. Okay, couple other, let's see, questions in the chat. AK's question on close filter is the field is closed, which is a flag for is closed. Don't know what to set the value to as operator defaults to equal. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely send that to Nate and get a call on the books, or get that as a talking point for your next call. Copy that. Anyone else have any questions? Anything you're curious about? Just dying to learn more about?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be AI related at this
That's
point.
a curveball.
We got some time.
I know with March kicking off, it is a really hot season for themed competition series, March Madness, sporty
Yes.
themed competitions, all sorts of fun stuff. So if anyone needs a good idea for a fun competition, let us know. ask your CSM, but we've been seeing some good creative ones come through lately as the spring season heats up. Spring training, it's a good one.
Yeah, I see Jeff on here. Jeff, we should do a fantasy football or a March Madness competition for the team.
You can get people excited too and let them like draft an actual team, and then we could change their name and ambition to the team name. Do a little configuration magic, and then the reps could be competing as University of Tennessee or whatever. And that could almost be like their team that they've picked to win it all or something. If you need help figuring out who gets first pick, you could like pull a leaderboard of activity score for last month or something, and top person gets first pick and just go down the line. Um, I've seen people do that. It's pretty fun. It's just a fun way to get people excited and bought in and, you know, get something fun happening. All right. Well, we really appreciate everyone's time for hopping on, taking the time to hear more about AI and ambition. Like I mentioned, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to myself, your CSM, our support team. We're here to help. And we hope to see you next month. I confirmed April 8th at 3 p.m. Central. Our support team is going to talk about troubleshooting data and making sure your data is perfect and accurate in ambition, which everyone knows we need. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.